Hello and welcome to Guns and Gear. You know, I just posted a video talking about the idea of having night sights on a defensive firearm. So what I thought I would do was put a few guns on the table and show you some different configurations and different manufacturers of tritium sights that I own, okay, and talk a little bit about that. Maybe just describe it. I think I'm actually going to make a third video where I've provided a low light situation so you can actually see the sights and how they perform. Okay, so for this video, let me show you some different sights from different manufacturers and a couple of different configurations, and this is just a drop in the bucket of what's available. So let's start off with this firearm right here. This was the very first firearm that I ever had night sights on. This is a Sig P229 and it's a 40 Smith & Wesson. Now I got this back in the mid-90s. It was just a little while after 40 Smith & Wesson had been introduced, and Sig offered 40 Smith & Wesson in their 229 and their 226. And when I purchased this gun, it had night sights already installed. These are Trijicon night sights. All right, and they are of a 3-dot configuration. All right, and these sights do not have a white outline around the tritium. It's just the tritium vials themselves. And these sights are very old, okay? And the brightness of the glow of the tritium has been greatly diminished. And in my next video, I'll show you how much it's diminished over the years. All right, with that, let's go ahead and start from over here. This happens to be a Glock 23, outstanding firearm. It came with Glock night sights on it, and Glock night sights come from different manufacturers, or at least from what I've been able to tell, at least 2 different manufacturers, one being Trijicon, the other one being Meprolite. Now these are Meprolite sights, and some of the basic differences that you see between Meprolite sights and Trijicon sights. Meprolite sights seem to be a broader vial or capsule. And they're not as bright as Trijicon, but they provide a bigger dot, so to speak. Okay, and that's what these sights are, and you can see it has the Glock insignia on the sights themselves. Okay, these are 3-dot with the white outline, and you can see that on the rear and on the front. The next firearm is a M&P from Smith & Wesson. It's a 40 Smith & Wesson as well. Now this has the Trijicon night sights on there. Again, they're in the 3-dot configuration. That is what you see the most examples of when you talk about night sights. And these sights do have the white outline around the tritium vial to aid them to be a better sight during the daytime when you can't see that glow. Now again, you may not be able to tell from my crappy filmography, but the tritium vials are smaller, but I find them to be brighter. All right, next up is another Glock, but this has a different kind of sight on it. All right, these are aftermarket sights, and these come from True Glow. And again, these are 3-dot configuration, green 3-dot configuration, and they do have the white outline. The one thing that I think is a con for these sights is the fact that the front sight is plastic, okay? And plastic can snap and break kind of easy. Now the next gun is a little gun. This is a North American Arms 380. It's a firearm that I carry for a backup firearm often. This has XS big sights, all right? And it has a tritium vial. This is a post-dot configuration. Now the post on the rear sight is not tritium, although they do offer that option. I don't think they did at the time, especially for the little sights for these North American Arms. But the XS big dot uses a lot of white material to make that dot, and it has a tritium vial in the middle of it to provide that night vision, that night capability. Next up is a Kimber. This is a 10mm Kimber, and it has Meprolite sights on there, and these are adjustable Meprolite sights. And this happens to be a dash dot type configuration. And if you look right at the rear sight, you will see a faint little dash right across there. That is actually a tritium vial. And the front sight is a dot with a white outline around it. Okay. The next sight is, the next firearm is a Wesson Combat ADP. And this was the only firearm that Wesson actually manufactured that was a polymer frame and a striker fired gun. They only made it for a few years, I guess because it wasn't successful. I don't know, but my wife really likes this gun. Now, I don't know who made these sights. I always thought it was Trijicon, but I do not know that for a fact. The rear sights do not have the white outline. The front sight does have a white line and a tritium insert. And the front sight is green and the rear sight is yellow. So you'll be able to see a little bit of difference in the color scheme. Final firearm is a Sig P226. This happens to be an Equinox series of gun, and it's also in 40 Smith & Wesson. Now this has a mixture of sights. The front sight is a sort of a hybrid sight. It is made by True Glow, and it has a section of fiber optic material, and behind that, going towards the muzzle, there is a tritium insert. So it allows you to have that bright green dot during the day and also provides a green dot at night. The rear sight, however, is a Trijicon tritium sight with the white line around the files. Okay, this is my least favorite sight on the table, and that's because this fiber optic sight diminishes the brightness of the tritium. So in a low light situation, the front sight is actually dimmer than the rear sights, and I don't particularly care for that. Alright folks, that's a quick look at some of the different configurations, some different manufacturers of night sights. My next video will be showing you the night sights in a low light situation so you can see how they look. With that, thank you for watching my videos. I certainly appreciate it. And remember to shoot straight on the range and in life. Thanks.